Hello everybody, this is Lara with your daily update for Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP, and I have a little something bullish to say about each of these today. Bitcoin for the short term. Yesterday, 1st of October, made a new high above 28,145.56. That has broken the series of lower highs and lower lows. That is the basic definition of a downward trend. So now we have a higher high on the 1st and the 2nd of October, so that tells us that the trend has likely changed. We also have this red channel that's drawn around this downward trend. It's closed above on the 1st of October. The 2nd of October, if this candlestick can close green, then it will meet my very conservative definition of a breach. We will then have a full green candlestick, or a candlestick of movement in the opposite direction, outside and not touching the trend channel that contains prior movement, or the prior trend. So the prior trend is down. If we get a green candlestick for 2nd of October, I'll have that conservative breach of that channel, which will add further confidence in a trend change, and the low of the 11th of September remaining intact for years to come. I said to expect resistance just below 29,000, and that is exactly what is happening. The high so far for the 2nd of October, 28,585.13, just below 29,000. And so it's unsurprising we're getting some pullback. It's also really normal after a breach of a trend line like this for price to move up and then come down to test support. Now, it may not be able to get right down to this line. I think it's probably not going to get below 27,400. Also really common when price breaks through resistance like we had at 27,400 for that area to then provide support for a back test before price moves up and away. So if we see more downward movement for the 2nd of October, look out for it to most likely end at or before 27,400, and then I will expect more upward movement. The next time Bitcoin price manages to get up to just below 29,000, let's see if it can close below that. Now, if we can see a close above, not below, if we can see a close above 29,000, that'd be really bullish. The target from the head and shoulders pattern is 29,750, so we may see a pullback or consolidation there, and next resistance about 31,000. So far, volume for the 2nd of October shows an increase, but the 2nd of October has a higher high and a higher low, so it's upward movement. However, the candlestick so far is red, so the direction and the colour contradict each other. So you need to look inside the session when that happens. When the session is closed, I'll look at hourly volume bars and I'll try and determine, is it upward periods or downward periods within this session which have strongest volume, and try and figure out where volume is strongest, and so make a judgment on whether this volume is bullish or bearish. Overall, volume has some push for price moving higher, but overall a decline. But within a few days, day on day, we see some increase, so that's still really good for a bullish case. We don't have to see it immediately getting stronger than this upward session back here on the 29th of August. That's okay that we're seeing some decline overall. The Bitcoin and cryptos tend to be pretty weak off their lows. ADX for Bitcoin gives us the strongest signal ADX can give. It's rising up from relatively low levels and from below both DX lines. It's now past 15, so it's high enough now to indicate a trend. Because the positive DX line is above the negative, the trend indicated is up. This is the strongest bullish signal ADX can give. This is for Bitcoin. It tells us that there is a new trend in a very early stage. RSIs are not overbought. It's getting pretty close though, but that's not a concern when this on the daily time frame, because if you look back at Bitcoin's big bull runs up to that October 2017 high particularly, ADX at the daily time frame reaches really extreme, really early in those trends. So it'll get extreme, it'll get really extreme, you'll see pullback consolidation, then you'll see bearish divergence, maybe single, double or even triple, and then you'll see a deeper, more time-consuming pullback before the bull run resumes. For looking for the end of the bull run, I'd use RSI, extreme and divergence at the weekly time frame, not the daily. So no concern absolutely whatsoever that RSI is getting close to overbought for this upward trend. There's a long way to go before it's as extreme as it can get for this market. Likewise, money flow's not overbought, and there's a long way to go before this gets as extreme as it can get for this market. A little bit of an increase in volatility as measured by ATR in the last few sessions, although overall it is declining like volume, but nice to see a little bit of an increase returning now. For Ethereum on the daily chart, I'm moving the degree of labeling here up 1 degree off the start of minor 3. I'm going to now see minute 1 and 2 and now minuet 1 and 2. Looking for this downward movement today to continue a little bit lower to complete a second wave correction. From this low to this high, minuet 1 subdivides as a really nice looking 5-wave impulse. It's broken out of the channel that contains this downward movement that I've labelled minor 2. And now we're looking for a backtest of support. This is absolutely typical, normal, to be expected behaviour from price. After breaking through resistance, a backtest of support. If it gets low enough, look out for final support at the upper edge of this channel. But when we get to the technical chart, I'll show you it might not get that low. Minuet 2, technically, for the Elliott Wave count, may not move beyond the start of 1, below 1563.59. So the wave count for Ethereum is extremely bullish. When this little pullback's over, I'm expecting a third wave at minuet, minute, minor, intermediate, primary, and cycle degree. A third wave at multiple degrees will be expecting a strong upward pull, an increase in volume, an increase in range, and new all-time highs, probably, or certainly within a year, but possibly within just a few months. On the technicals chart for Ethereum, finding some resistance about 1716, a little bit above that. Seeing a pullback now, support about 1670. This may be around about where this pullback ends. This looks like a typical breakthrough of resistance at this trend line. Backtest of support may not get down to this line, though those backtests don't always do that before moving up and away. After we move above resistance at 1716, I'd expect stronger resistance at 1800. I'd expect another pullback or consolidation to unfold about 1800 for Ethereum. For this session for Ethereum, there's a lower high and a lower low. The candlestick is red. Volume is pushing price lower within this session, so I don't think that today is going to be the end of downward movement. I'll be expecting the 3rd of October for Ethereum also to most likely be a red candlestick, but maybe with weaker volume and weaker range. ADX for Ethereum still indicates no clear trend. The positive DX lines crossed above the negative. There's a potential change to up, but there's still a long way to go before ADX is going to set itself up for a new signal. An increase in range and volatility for the last few sessions for Ethereum, so it's good to see some push from volume for those previous upward movements and now some increase in volatility for this market. The bullish signal today from Ethereum is a new high above 1745.02. Here we have the high of the 14th of July and a deep pullback, a series of lower highs and lower lows, a new high above 1745.02, which is the last swing high within this downward movement, breaks that series of lower highs and lower lows. We now have a higher high on the 1st of October, and that's a strong bullish signal from Ethereum, along with a breach, a very clear breach of this channel that contained the downward movement. Another bullish signal from Ethereum tells us it's very likely now the 11th of September low is likely to remain intact. For XRP today we have, or a couple of days ago, we had a new high above 0.5467. That invalidates the alternate Elliott Wave count, adding further confidence in this main Elliott Wave count, which expects the low of the 17th of August for XRP to remain intact for years to come. I might need to move the degree of labelling here up 1 degree. This may be minor 1 and 2, but for now, I'll just leave it as it is today. Let's see how the next few days unfold. For XRP, I expect a third wave at minor, intermediate, primary, and cycle degree. The Elliott Wave count is very, very bullish for this one. For the short term, I'm expecting a little pullback to be labelled a little second wave correction, which may not move beyond the start of its first wave, below 0.4914. Here's the alternate Elliott Wave count for XRP. It sees the pullback for intermediate 2 continuing. Though both wave counts are the same up to here, and instead of A, B, C, what if it was A, B, C? C now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is invalid because 2 has moved beyond the start of 1, so this is invalid. So the only way to redeem this wave count is to do this and try and figure out some kind of structure for B. Now it won't fit as a triangle, and I'll show you why. So no matter where you put C, if you put C here, E has moved beyond the end of C. That violates an Elliott Wave rule for the triangle. So you'd have to see B as some kind of combination, but now the problem is the duration. Minute wave B at 43 sessions is so much longer than minor wave W at 25, minor X at just 2. The proportions are absolutely horrible. This is an awful wave count. I'm just going to delete it. For XRP, the high back on the 13th of July, followed by a series of lower highs and lower lows, a downward trend, down to this low here on the 17th of August, that has not yet been broken. For XRP, the next confidence point is a new high above 0.6650. I said to expect really strong resistance for XRP at 55 cents. And just a few days ago, the 29th of September, the high was 0.5487. Absolutely unsurprising. We're getting some consolidation around this area. Next time price gets up here, if it can close above 55 cents, I'll expect it to continue on up. And next resistance for next pullback or consolidation at 62 cents. The volume profile for XRP is much more clearly bullish than the other two, so I still have some confidence in this analysis, expecting further upward movement. The technical support it. ADX for XRP tells us there's an upward trend and there's a very, very long way to go before it reaches extreme. This is not the strongest signal ADX can give, but it is telling us there's an upward trend which is nowhere near extreme, because the black ADX line is not above both DX lines and it's not above 45. There's a long way, as you can see, before it gets there. There's a long way to go before RSI reaches overbought. Money flow's a bit closer, but a long way to go before this reaches as overbought as it can get. So an upward trend in a relatively early stage as well for XRP is indicated. That's it from me today with your Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP analysis. I hope everyone had a lovely weekend.